Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, if you're here and you've shown up, today we're going to be talking about something that we're calling a gut reset for energy. So chances are you're tired, you're exhausted, you're fatigued, not like the kind of I stayed up too late tired, or I just worked too much yesterday kind of tired, but more so like you slept all night and you still can't hardly get out of bed without 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Or you have that midday slump where you feel like you can barely make it through the workday and you have to have extra caffeine. Or you have that second wind at night where you're like, where the heck has all my energy been all day long? But now I have it in the evening. It makes no sense, right? I'm talking about that kind of tired. So if that sounds like you are absolutely in the right place today. And I'm going to try to keep this short, simple, and clear for you. I don't want it to be overly complicated. And I don't want you to feel all of this pressure to change your entire life overnight, right? My goal in everything that I do is to help you understand your body. And in this one, today we're going to be helping you understand why your energy feels off and how your gut may be contributing to it, right? More so than people typically think. So by the end of today's session, you're going to know how your gut could be messing with your energy sources without obvious gut symptoms. And then you're going to learn how to spot the subtle signs and walk away with a few things that you can do today that don't require that complete lifestyle overhaul. So I don't want you to focus on strict diets or really lengthy protocols, which can be beneficial, right? We do have a gut health reset that does take 9 weeks. But today we're talking about short, sweet, sustainable. Okay? So let me ask you this. Have you ever said, well, hey, I'm eating better, I'm exercising, I'm doing all of the things, but I'm still tired. I'm still exhausted, like bone deep tired. And this isn't something that you're making up, right? And a lot of the times our doctors, unfortunately, will say, oh, you just need some more sleep. Oh, you're just stressed. Go home, get some rest, take something off your plate and you'll be fine. Which that can be beneficial in some cases. Or maybe you've even heard, oh, your labs are normal, right? So when you are told that it's just stress, or maybe it's just your hormones, maybe you're just getting older, unfortunately, our doctors aren't talking enough that your gut can run the show when it comes to energy, right? Not just digestion, but the way that your brain connects to it, the way that your brain works, how you absorb nutrients, how your immune system and stress response system play into it, and how your sleep functions as well. So when your gut is thrown off, everything else can be thrown off too, even if your stomach feels fine, right? I had a client about 6 months ago who said, I'm under a lot of stress. I am, they had they were a CEO in a really big company, and they were constantly under stress, constantly taking high amounts of phone calls and making really big, tough decisions. They were under all this stress. Their hormones were out of whack. And I remember coming up to their gut health questionnaire in our consultation, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't have any gut issues. I'm fine. I go to the bathroom every single day. I don't really bloat. I eat what I want. I'm fine. And then I said, okay, well, let's just do a gut test anyway. So I sent the kit to his house and I had him do the test, and then he shipped it back. We got the results, and I said, even though your stomach feels fine, look at all this inflammation. Look at the fact that you do have dysbiosis, right? There are some markers that are high that we can work with. So, it tells you more about what types of probiotics, what types of nutrients you might need, because they're not, properly digesting and being absorbed because the gut is off. So even if you feel like your stomach is fine, it may not really be fine, right? So you might notice other symptoms before you start noticing the digestive symptoms. And that was their case, really. So, I think that a lot of people get stuck there, unfortunately. But it's not your fault, right? Our doctors and society, even our education system, I feel like really fails us in that regard because they don't educate us fully on our bodies and how they work holistically, right? Everything is connected. And you've probably been given this symptom chasing advice when you really need a root cause to solve the problem, right? So if you feel like you're running on fumes every day and you're burning out and you don't have energy, yet you're desperately trying to get more energy. I've been there, right? I myself, I was bedridden for almost a year. I had a lot of gut health issues that were coming up, but my main thing was POTS, fatigue, and anxiety. That was ruling my life. That had me absolutely bedridden. And I was like, I don't care about my gut. I don't care about my digestive system, right? Like, it's fine. But we did a stool test anyway. And when I sent it back off and got the results, what had happened? Malabsorption was very high, which means, hey, I may be taking in healthy food, and hey, I might be taking in these supplements, but my body's not breaking it down and absorbing it enough to get those nutrients into the bloodstream and throughout my body where they need to go. And then I had some other issues too. There was, general inflammation markers, and there weren't any parasites or pathogens, but there was definitely some dysbiosis and things going on. So that being said, though, I was so exhausted all the time, and I had no idea that my gut health had anything to do with it. I just knew, hey, I'm bedridden. I can barely get up and get to the bathroom on my own. And that was it. Like, bathroom and back, kitchen, warm up some food in the microwave and back. That was my day. Turning over, I would have all of this dizziness and anxiety. That was my focus. I mean, I was having 7 or more panic attacks a day. So my gut health was not my focus. That being said, I thought I was doing everything right before I got sick too. And I know a lot of people tend to think, again, I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy and clean, I'm sleeping more. But are you really, right? Eating clean, working out, sleeping more might look different for everyone, right? Based on your age, based on your sex, based on your role. If you have a family, if you have children, if you have one job, multiple jobs, a part-time job, what type of stress you're under, how much stress your body can handle. Even your genetics come into play, right? So eating clean, still taking the right supplements, moving your body. If you're still crashing, look to the gut. So, it wasn't until I started paying attention to what was going on in my digestive tract and learning the effect that it was having on my brain and my hormones and my sleep that things started to really shift for me. And this is not going to be about everything that I did. However, I will talk about some things that I did incorporate for me to go from, being bedridden to getting back my life. So, and I didn't really have a lot of major stomach issues, right? It wasn't obvious. Like, I did have some alternating constipation and diarrhea, but who doesn't when you have stress and anxiety? Most people who have anxiety, there is a high correlation with IBS as well. So anyway, that being said, I want you to take a moment and, if you can, just pause this video and find a piece of paper or a notebook or whatever, even type it on your Notion, and think about, what would it feel like if I woke up with a clear head and energy? And just write it down for a moment. Just take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, write down what it would feel like if you had clear thinking, no brain fog, and the energy that you want in your life to get through that afternoon without needing caffeine or sugar in order to keep going, right? To eat a meal and to feel better afterwards and not crash or have a panic attack or have to have a nap. So yeah, take a moment, pause here for a second, and then I'm assuming that you're back now. And, I want you to save that for later and kind of reflect on that after you figure out what you want to implement from this video. And then once you've implemented it, come back around full circle and just look at what's changed for you. So today, right, we're going to talk about where to start, how to start, right? So let's get into one of the first things that most people don't know about their gut health and how it relates to energy. So the biggest thing that I want you to walk away with today is that your low energy is probably not just from stress, okay? There's a good chance that it is coming from your digestive tract, and I'm not talking just, just malabsorption, or I'm just not eating healthy foods. And also, when I say gut, I don't just mean digestion, because it's not about, I mean, it can be, but it's not only about bloating or going to the bathroom, 2 to 3 times a day. Your gut is involved in more than that, right? It affects your skin, your brain, your immune system, your hormones, your mood, and even your energy. So let's get a little bit of context too. So roughly 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut, right? So if your gut's irritated, or if it's inflamed, or if it's out of balance with dysbiosis, even a little bit, that means your stress response, which your immune system is a part of, is going to be on edge. It's not going to run efficiently. And that means that your body is constantly going to be spending all of this excess energy fighting off stuff in the background that you don't even know about. And no, don't ask me if it's going to help you burn more calories, because yes, it does, but it's not going to help you lose weight, I assure you. I have had clients ask me that before. That being said, you have all of these. It's like, just picture, I don't know where my phone is, but picture having your phone and you're trying to use it and it's just going so slow. You're trying to use an app or something, make a phone call, whatever, and it's just lagging or freezing up, or just, it's so slow. Like, it's old and not working right. But maybe you only got it like 8 months ago. And then you figure out, oh, well, I've got all of these apps running in the background. That's what it feels like when your gut is not functioning properly and draining your battery without you even doing anything, because you have all these other functions that it controls or is associated with that is draining your energy, right? And another thing, when I was talking a moment ago about how your gut health can really play into your mood, almost 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. And serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps to regulate your mood, right? But it also impacts things like your sleep cycles, your ability to focus, to stay on task, to feel motivated throughout the day. How many days have you, got up and gotten your day started, and then you just feel like, oh God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through today? I have no desire. I don't want to do anything. Right? It's not even about the energy at that point. Which obviously they can and do overlap in a lot of cases. But I'm talking about I just have no motivation. I don't want to do anything. Nothing's fun to me anymore. I don't enjoy anything. I feel like I have no discipline. And sometimes it's really not a discipline problem, right? Sometimes it's because your gut is off and your brain's not getting what it needs. And that's going to leave you feeling really foggy, unmotivated. You're going to feel irritable and fatigued, right? Tired, exhausted. And you also have to take into consideration that your gut is where nutrient absorption happens, which I feel like is the most common thing that people know about the digestive system, right? You put some food in your mouth, you chew it, your body breaks it down for energy and nutrition, and then you excrete the rest, right? And so maybe you are eating all of the right foods. Maybe you're even taking some supplements, right? But if your gut isn't breaking it down and assimilating it in a way that your body can use it, if your gut isn't breaking it down and assimilating it in a way that your body can use it, that means your body's not going to use it. It's not going to get that fuel, right? It's like running a car with a broken fuel pump. Like, you put gas in it, you put premium gas in it even, right? If you're taking supplements, that's like putting premium gas into your gas tank. But if there's a hole in the gas tank, or if the fuel pump is broken, that gas isn't going to get to where it needs to go in order to fuel your car and get you to where you need to go, right? And it's the same thing with our bodies. If it's not able to absorb that nutrients, that fuel, it's going to feel tired, it's going to feel exhausted. It's not going to do what we need it to do or what we want to do. So even if your digestion is feeling fine, like you're not dealing with obvious stomach issues, you can still be dealing with gut imbalances, and they can obviously still be affecting your energy. So another example is that a lot of people don't connect something like fatigue after meals to digestion. I have, at least for a lot of the clients that I've seen, and even when I was interning, before I graduated a long time ago, like usually when they would feel sleepy after meals, they would say, oh, it's just normal, or, oh, it must be like insulin resistance or diabetes. Not necessarily. That's what my doctor kept telling me. They're like, oh, it's just your blood sugar is getting high. You're just really tired after your meals because your blood sugar's high. And I'm like, I mean, the only carbs I was eating was sweet potatoes and carrots at the time. Like, what carbs? Those are high in fiber, and I was barely getting any carbs. I mean, I wasn't quite on keto, but I was still very low carb, and there was no way. And then they would check my blood sugar, and my fasting blood sugar would be 69 or 70. So, which was healthy, right? Very healthy. And like, that's the lower limit. So it obviously wasn't blood sugar. What the heck could it be if you're tired after digestion, right? And that's one of the first signs I look for. If your digestion is not working properly, your gut's not working properly, you are going to feel tired after meals, right? If you eat and then you crash, like for me, when I was first sick, literally within 5 to 10 minutes, I was out, right? Like I was about to pass out on the couch, or I did fall asleep because I was that exhausted. And for some people, again, like even for me, like when I was later in my healing journey, it might be an hour or 2 hours after I ate. And this tells me, just like my gut was, is that your body is struggling to break down what you ate. And that could be for a number of reasons, right? And I don't want to get too far into that, but I will give a quick overview of some things that I commonly see. POTS, right? So POTS, a lot of the times when we eat, too much blood rushes too fast from other parts of the body to the gut, and then you feel the fatigue and the crash. And another one is if it's too salty of a meal, that can throw off your electrolytes really quickly. If you're not drinking good fluids with it or after. What else? What did I say? We said POTS, we said salt, food allergies. Hello. That's another huge one. Like if, you might not have like immediate reactions, right? Like for me, when I was first sick, if I ate, I know this sounds like an over exaggeration, but I'm not even kidding. I remember at one point I had spinach on my fork. I didn't even chew it. As soon as it touched my tongue, it started tingling and burning, which I had histamine intolerance at the time and I didn't know. And anyway, it was a whole ordeal, but food allergies don't always pop up that immediately, right? So like later in my healing journey, I could have had a high histamine food and I didn't react until 2 or 3 hours later, right? So, when you eat high histamine foods too, or, if you're having food sensitivities and allergies that you might not even know about, it can cause a lot of fatigue, a lot of sinus pressure, a lot of dizziness. And just for me specifically, it would feel like my arms and legs were made of like lead, or like I was walking through cement, or just, I don't know, like quicksand, maybe something really thick and heavy. Anyway, aside from crashing after meals, another huge red flag is brain fog. So if you eat something, whether it's a small meal or a large meal, and you immediately feel like you got that cotton brain, like you can't think, you can't sort through your thoughts, you're forgetting what you walked into a room for, forgetting mid-conversation what you were talking about, and you just feel really cloudy and like you can't focus or find the right words, that can often be linked to gut inflammation. Because when our gut is inflamed, what happens, right? Unfortunately, if it's inflamed long enough, that inflammation breaks out, right? It's like a jailbreak. That inflammation ends up going all throughout the body. And where does it end up? In our brains. So when our gut's irritated, it kind of communicates with the brain back and forth and tells it, hey, we're in a lot of trouble. It reinforces that stress response, the immune system, all of that, and just puts your whole brain and body on high alert, right? Which, again, like we mentioned earlier, it requires a lot of energy. It uses a lot of energy. So maybe you're feeling really puffy or tired or just weird, like off after a meal. For me, I used to always say it was like this chemical hangover because that was the best way I could explain it. It wasn't like I didn't drink or anything, but it was like this just weird chemical hangover. Like I took a new medication and didn't have a good reaction to it or something. And I do want to reiterate that it's not because you're getting older. It's not normal just because you might feel this way all the time. This is a sign that your gut is inflamed. All right, this could be a sign that your gut is out of balance, even if you're not feeling that full-on sick, that full-on bedridden phase that I went to, right? And the truth is that for a lot of us, this goes ignored, unfortunately, because we're not taught to look at energy issues through the lens of gut health or functional medicine or holistic approaches, right? Instead, we're told, oh, it's anxiety. Oh, go sleep more, drink some water, take some supplements or some iron or B12 or antidepressants, just go meditate. And I'm not knocking any of that. Because if you watch my videos, if you go to my website, if you've worked with me, you know I use those things. I use those in my practice all the time. And they may help, right? And that's wonderful if they do. But if you're not getting the care that you specifically need, or the care that your gut needs, you're not working with your body, you're gonna feel exhausted. It's always going to feel like you're fighting, right? Like you're just pushing this boulder up a hill and you're putting all of this energy out into, pushing this boulder up the hill when it's just rolling at you like Indiana Jones, right? It's coming at you and there's nothing you can do about it, but you're still trying to push. And, that's exhausting, right? It's absolutely exhausting. And, I don't want any of you guys to feel like that. I don't want any of y'all to end up where I ended up, bedridden, all of my doctors ignoring me, telling me like, it's all in your head, you're fine, just relax. And let me tell you, it wasn't. It really wasn't, unfortunately. And I think my biggest thing for you guys right now is, and I want you to either write this down or put it in a digital note-taking app like Notion or something, where you had put the little mini journal prompt earlier. I want you to write down to pay attention to how you feel after you eat. I'm not asking you to track calories. I'm not asking you to write a journal everything you ate, how much you ate. I'm not asking you to log everything. All I'm asking you to do, hey, I had breakfast. This is how I felt after I ate. Maybe you were short of breath. Maybe you were sleepy. Maybe you had brain fog. Maybe you felt fatigued. Maybe you felt super energized and ready to take on the day. I just want you to reconnect your brain and body for a minute, just 30 to 60 seconds, and check in with your body. And I want you to do this twice. I want you to do it immediately after you eat, and then again at least an hour after you eat. And notice, did you feel steady? Did you feel focused? Do you feel bloated and sluggish, right? And that's one of the main ways that your body is going to talk to you, your gut is going to talk to you, by how you feel, especially after you eat. So if you start noticing that you're crashing or you feel really heavy and bogged down, your digestion may be under a lot of stress, and that could be messing with your energy processing. So another quick check that you can do is question yourself, right? Like, am I skipping meals? Am I eating on the go? Am I eating while I'm multitasking, while I'm working? Because that's a fast way to like short circuit your digestion. And if you've watched any of my videos, we talk a lot about nervous system dysregulation. Or if you're in our community, right, on Discord, we talk a lot about regulating your nervous system, the fight or flight mode, and the rest, digest, and heal mode over here, right? So when you eat, your body needs to be in that rest, digest, and heal mode, that parasympathetic state. Or else it's not going to break down food properly. It's not going to give you the energy you need. And when it's not breaking down food properly, that means you're going to be tired, bloated, probably constipated, and feel like crap, right? Pun intended. And then if you are not assimilating it right, that means that you're not going to get energy from it. And you're going to be left feeling fatigued and exhausted. So when we're over in that sympathetic state where we don't want to be, that's because we're distracted, we're stressed, or we're rushing. So the more that you can do to de-stress while you eat, the better your digestion is going to be. Because our bodies, they're meant to be over here in that parasympathetic state, right? So if you can just, like for me, and I know a lot of people have really busy lives, or you have schedules or situations that may not make it easy, but I promise you there's always a way to figure out something that will work for you. And that is why we do one-on-one coaching, like, or hop in our community, because even if you feel like, oh, well, I can't do that. Okay, well, let's figure it out together, right? Let's figure it out, because I promise you, for everyone, there is something that we can do to help you figure out how to improve your digestion. So for me, a lot of what I did in the beginning, two things, because keep in mind, I was pretty much, I was bedridden for 8 months, right? Like bathroom and back, microwave and back, and that was it. And I couldn't even like walk there straight. Like it was rough. But that being said, before my meals, I would do a short breathing exercise for 1 or 2 minutes, just a short series of breaths. For me, it kind of alternated on the days, but you can do like some physiological sighs, or you can do just like box breathing or something. For me, box breathing made it worse for me. I didn't like it. So I usually did the physiological sigh instead until I started recovering more, and then I could do the box breathing. It was just a little more intense for my body. So breathing exercises before you eat, or meditating or praying, right? Or journaling, something like that, to shift into that parasympathetic mode. And then eat slowly and try not to distract yourself with a bunch of stuff or a bunch of people, if possible, just as much as you possibly can. And then after, what I would do, again, I know not everyone can do this. I was bedridden, so I had the time of day. I'll have to see if I can find it, and maybe I can copy the link and post it in our Discord. But there was a video, it was on YouTube, and I cannot think of the girl's name or the account name, but it was like a nervous system kind of reset. And I just remember, like, it was a visualization to help with your digestive system, and you like literally imagine it all going through your digestive system. And that's, again, another way to calm the nervous system, shift to that parasympathetic state, improve digestion and assimilation, which is what we want, right? Because we don't want to rush. We want our bodies to be able to digest the food we just ate, or even the supplements that we're taking, right? Otherwise, it's going to just lead to a lot of fatigue, right? And that's going to suck. And I also want to say, like, if you're feeling really called out right now, that's okay. Because I felt called out too. And it's not about playing the blame game or shaming anyone, but I want you to be aware of maybe some habits that might be harming your body, and some ways that maybe you can change and shift how you view digestion and how you view your body. Because most people aren't told this, right? Like, most people aren't told how interconnected and how intimate energy and digestion are, right? And so now that you know all the stuff you know from today's session, you can do something about it, right? You don't have to guess so much anymore. You don't have to assume that you're just someone who's always going to be tired, always going to be fatigued, can't ever keep up. You can look at your gut as a starting point, and your body will tell you if something's off, right? And the best part is that supporting your gut doesn't have to be extreme, right? You don't have to overhaul everything in your life to feel better. And I think that's what we'll get into next, right? Is some ways to start shifting that don't feel super overwhelming. Just some ways that you can support your gut and improve your digestion and improve that, not fatigue. Yes, the fatigue, but improve your energy levels, right? And I don't want it to be extreme. I don't want you to have to do an elimination diet if you don't have to. And I did have someone the other day say something about, well, you're talking about not doing elimination diets, but you have one. I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't think that an elimination diet is necessary for everyone. If you try the things in this video and you still don't see much of a difference, or you don't see a difference at all, you might need something a bit more intensive, something a bit more drastic, right? Maybe that is going to include supplements. Maybe it's going to include an elimination diet. meal prepping, etc. Maybe it is a detox, right? It depends on you, your body, what you've gone through, what your goals are, what you've tried, what worked, what didn't work, right? So, but today's focus isn't on that, right? I just want to clear that up for anyone because I know I'm going to get more questions because I've gotten questions about it in the Discord. So, but I don't want to add more stress to your plate, right? So I don't want you to feel like you need to go hardcore. We want to keep it simple. So when it comes to improving your digestion, some of the most effective things are going to be the most simple, right? They're going to be gentle. They're going to be boring. They're going to be things that you've probably heard of before, or you're like, oh, that's not going to make much of a difference, is it? It's really not, is it? I promise you, you slowly incorporate these things, it will help. So, and it's not always about switching to the right foods either, right? It's about, again, it's going to be different for everyone, but I think a huge part of that is reconnecting your brain to your body, bringing that nervous system back online so that it brings the gut back online in a healthy way, right? And that helps your body do what it does best: rest, digest, and heal, right? And so even if you're not eating clean, even if you are eating clean, if your body doesn't feel safe, it's not going to digest food properly. You're going to feel exhausted and fatigued. So that healing your gut, that improving your digestion and energy starts with slowing down, right? Slowing down enough that your digestion can catch up and say, hey, okay, we're eating now. let's get the gears turning. Let's turn everything on, right? Because it's not you just put food in your mouth and then it starts breaking things down, right? Like, your digestive system turns on in a specific order with specific cues. For example, you have different parts of your body that trigger the release and do release different digestive enzymes to help break down the food so that you can really assimilate those nutrients and turn it into energy. So when you see food, your mouth might start watering. That is because your body's preparing to break down food it thinks you're going to eat, right? And when you smell food, when you're cooking, making that a slow process triggers your digestive juices and enzymes to start producing, because your body thinks, hey, we're cooking. Hey, we smell food. Hey, we see food. It's time to eat. Let's get our body in gear. Let's get everything that we need in place so that we can break down that food and turn it into energy. So when you're doing really quick, fast foods and stuff, your body doesn't get that, right? But slowing down, one of the easiest ways that you can slow down is to chew your food. And again, I know that sounds super basic because when I first heard this, I was like, dude, this is a joke. Why am I wasting my time? But chewing your food matters. When you chew your food, that means less work for your stomach, which, if you're having gut health issues, probably has to do with low stomach acid, which means you're probably not breaking down your protein, right? That being said, it makes it easier on your entire digestive system to break down all of the food that you're eating, right? So if you just take a few bites and then swallow, you're probably going to struggle with bloating. You're probably going to struggle with constipation. You're probably eating while distracted or multitasking. It's not super beneficial for your digestion, right? And digestion starts in your mouth, right? Really, it starts when you smell your food, but it really gets started when we start to chew our food, when we put it into our mouth, because you have these digestive enzymes in your saliva that help to break carbs down, right? So you already start digesting food when it's in your mouth, plus chewing and mastication, that's also digestion. And so when you chew your food more, it's helping those organs like your stomach and your intestines do less work later, right? And that's the easiest, cheapest, simplest way to support your gut without spending any money, without changing your diet, especially if you're dealing with bloating and constipation and fatigue. Okay. So next is hydration. And I don't want to lecture you and tell you, oh, go drink a gallon of water a day. But dehydration, even if you're not having any gut issues, dehydration alone can make you feel so exhausted. And I'm talking about if you're not getting enough water or if you're not getting enough electrolytes. Both are going to drain you, right? And also, if you don't have enough hydration, your gut cannot excrete excess matter, right? So that's going to lead to constipation, which leads to a lot of bloating and discomfort. And then you get it all backed up and you start to get heartburn and feeling like food stuck in your throat, and it's miserable, right? So your body needs ways to digest and to make stomach acid and to move food through the system, through the intestines, to flush out toxins, waste products, all of that. So if you're running your body dry, like I said, it slows down, and then you start to feel slow, right? It's not just your digestion that slows down. You're not getting nutrients and energy, so your whole body is going to slow down. So what I usually have my clients do as like a baseline is to start their morning with a glass of water with just a pinch of Celtic sea salt, or warm water with lemon, or like pink Himalayan sea salt, something, again, depends on who it is, something to hydrate you first thing, because you've gone all night, no water, no salt, no potassium, minerals, etc. Your body needs that to get going, right? It's not something fancy, it's simple, it's quick. It wakes up your digestive system. It helps to hydrate you, right? And eat when you're calm, right? Eat when you're relaxed. And that's not to say like, oh, well, wait until you're sleepy to go eat. Like, no, don't wait until you're sleepy. Eat when you're hungry, but make sure that it's not while you're working or while you're walking or while you're cleaning or driving or rushing through your day. Don't have like all day where every single time you're eating, you're in this busy survival mode, stressed out state. And I know sometimes that can be unavoidable, but just try to relax before you eat. Even if you can't do like the breathing exercises and stuff like I had talked about earlier, one good breath, relax the shoulders, and eat. Okay. Another thing is to get your fiber in. So like if you're not getting enough fiber in, obviously you're probably going to deal with constipation, and you're probably going to deal with bloating and a lot of other gut health issues, and it sucks. Like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. So it's not only important to get fiber, right? If you increase your fiber, you have to increase your water with it. Please, 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 please. If you decide to go do that without a doctor's supervision or a nutritionist or something, please make sure that you do it slowly. And when you increase fiber, you increase water, because otherwise it's going to dry up your intestines more and can create a blockage. And we don't want to do that, right? So always do both at the same time. And increasing the diversity of fiber is going to be even more beneficial, right? Because your gut thrives on that variety, right? So different types of plants into your weekly meal planning rotations, or, dinners, or whatever it is that you cook or eat, is going to help give you a variety of nutrients that we need, right? Different micronutrients. But it's also going to fuel the different types of bacteria in your gut, right? And there are different types of bacteria in our gut for different roles. So, and those different roles can influence everything, right? We talked about hormones, mood, stabilization, energy, all of that jazz. So maybe this week you add in some blueberries and some spinach, or, raspberries. And next week instead of using rice, you use brown rice and some quinoa and some lentils to up your fiber. I'm not too picky about how you increase your fiber, as long as it's in a healthy way, it's slowly, and again, with extra water, because you're feeding all of that good gut bacteria. And when you do that, it's going to reduce inflammation over time, which allows your body to get more energy throughout its system. So just be intentional about eating, right? And another huge, how did I forget about this? Another big one, especially for anyone who has blood sugar issues. Again, this isn't just for blood sugar issues. It's definitely good for gut health. But if you have PCOS, insulin resistance, diabetes, any of that, go for a 5-minute walk after you eat. 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour. 5 minutes every time you eat, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, I don't care. 5 minutes, right? You don't have to have a gym. I don't care if you're marching in place at your desk. I don't care if you go outside for a walk. 5 minutes of physical movement, even if you're just washing the dishes, whatever it is, that helps to regulate blood sugar. It helps to support your digestion and get things moving. It helps your all of the waste move through your digestive system so that it can be excreted out. And it helps to reduce that post-meal crash. So if you are feeling really exhausted after you ate, go walk. And I know that's the hardest thing because you're like, all I want to do is go take a nap. All I want to do is go to sleep. All I want to do is lay down and rest after this meal. 5-minute walk. Just 5 minutes. And then if you want to go take a nap, baby, go take a nap. But I can almost guarantee you, after you take that 5-minute walk, it's going to increase your blood flow, which gets more oxygen to the brain, more nutrients to the brain, giving you more energy. And it's helping your body take up that blood sugar or take up the glucose from your blood, right? We're simplifying things here. And use it. So you're going to feel more energized because your body is trying to pick up that glucose and use it. So you don't have to do anything fancy, guys. Just 5 minutes every time you eat, and let me know how it goes. Okay? I don't want this to feel like another job for you guys. I just want to give you some ideas for how you can start. I just want to give you some ideas for how you can start to improve your digestion, right? To help you be consistent and to feel supported and to understand how your body works. Because I know plenty of you need to hear it, right? Like I needed to hear it. My doctors weren't telling me these things, and I was lucky enough that I had my degrees and I went to school and I studied this stuff, right? And so I had some other options and I knew some places to look, right? And that's why I want to share it with you guys, because I didn't have anyone telling me what to do. I didn't have anyone holding my hand and saying, hey, this is what's wrong. This is what you need to do. And I was mad, y'all. I was furious, in a rage, right? And I'm so mad for you guys too, because I know, I can't tell you how many people I've had come to me who have doctors that gaslight them, dismiss them, tell them their labs are normal, they're fine. I feel you, and I'm furious for you, which is why I'm trying to give you guys as much information as I can so that you can do what you need to do to feel better. So anyway, I will get off of that soapbox because our masterclasses are not really edited, and so they do drag out a little bit. But my point is, I don't want you to think that you have to go through all these protocols, right? Your body wants to heal. Your body wants that boosted energy, and your gut wants to work with you. So the more that you can start slowly and gently supporting it with these little shifts that can fit into your life, right? Because we want to customize them so that they fit your life, right? Customize them so that they are something that you can do, something that you can be consistent with, and something that's going to actually benefit you. Anyway, all of this is going to help you, I promise. So, that being said, if you feel like you are someone who's stuck in this like repetitive cycle of burnout, a huge reason that I see people stuck, even if they're putting in all of the effort, is because they're chasing their symptoms. And this was the biggest thing that I was doing, was constantly tracking everything, right? Constantly chasing all of my symptoms. Oh my God, I'm having a panic attack. What can I do to fix it? What is wrong? What possibly could have caused it? And then I like go through every second of the last 24, 48, 72 hours trying to figure out what I did wrong for it to be that way. So I don't want you to chase those symptoms, right? And it's not always obvious when you're doing it. But symptom chasing is like you're feeling something uncomfortable in your body and you don't want to sit with it. And you immediately try to fix it. Even if it's one little thing. Even if it's one little thing that your doctor said it's not a big deal. Right? Because sometimes it's not as big of a deal. And I know that's hard to hear, but it's true though sometimes. Sometimes it's not as big of a deal as we think. For me, I had POTS. And I had anemia and some other things that were driving the POTS. And the palpitations were some of the scariest feelings that I had in my entire life. Every time I had those palpitations, I thought that was it. I was done for. And that's all day long, right? When you're bedridden and you've got POTS, that's all day long, especially when you're not taking beta blockers or something. And so I feel you. But one of the most impactful things was not focusing on them when they came up. Now, that doesn't mean ignoring it and saying, my body's fine, and just pushing through it anyway, right? What happens when we are chasing symptoms, or if we're pushing through like that really hard, either way, either extreme, is just that. It's an extreme. Our brain and body are disconnected. We want to gently reconnect them, right? And so when that would come up, what I would do is I would breathe, take a step back, and say, why might this be happening? And that's different from panicking and problem solving, right? You're not necessarily triggering that stress response as much as you would be if you were just absolutely panicking, which is what I was doing in the beginning. So, for example, say that you feel exhausted, and so you start taking an iron supplement with B12, and you feel super foggy, even though you're taking that, and it's not really helping. So then you try maybe some turkey tail, or I don't know, some mushroom chaga or something, and more B vitamins. And then you're bloated, so you start cutting out gluten, and you start cutting out dairy, or going on an AIP diet, cutting out sugar. And maybe they help a little bit, but only for a bit, and then it's like you regress, or you just, everything starts coming back, right? But that underlying issue isn't being addressed. So the symptoms are coming back, or they're shifting into something totally different. And that's because your symptoms aren't random. Like, they're not just these random flashing lights, right? Our body is communicating with our brain, but the body doesn't speak languages, right? It doesn't speak English, right? It speaks signals. That fatigue, the bloating, the irritability, the headaches, the sleep issues. That's how your body's talking to you, right? That's how it's telling you something's off. I'm working harder than I should be. So if we treat symptoms like the palpitations that I would have, if we treat those like the problem, you're missing that bigger picture. I was so focused on the palpitations. I was like, I need the palpitations to stop. No, you don't. You really don't. You need the problem to stop, because when you stop the problem, that's going to stop the palpitations, right? Which is why I think it's very important to also get tested, right? And so again, I got lab tested, started addressing the iron deficiency. I had some other, like vitamin D and some other things. And when I started addressing those deficiencies, holy moly, the palpitations started going away, right? So, but the thing you have to remember is when you obsess over those fine symptoms, you're triggering that stress response all day and night. Every single time it happens, the whole time it happens, and that's making everything worse. You're burning more energy. It's causing you to feel more fatigued. It's wiping you out, especially if it's gut issues. It's going to wipe you out so much more after you eat, so much more after, whether you're feeling bloated after eating, or you're having food allergy symptoms or heartburn. When you hyperfixate on those symptoms, it's going to burn you out really quickly, especially if you're chronically ill or already dealing with a lot of stress. So what I tend to do with my clients who may be more sensitive, like their systems are more sensitive, like mine was, is to cut out certain foods, right? Start by cutting out just one food a week or 2 foods a week. See how you feel. Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Do you feel the same? Take that data, that information, and move forward, right? And another one, if you're dealing with heartburn or bloating, maybe try some ginger tea. That's what I do. I have ginger and lemon, and that works for me. It might not work for someone else, right? It didn't work for me when I was first sick. I had histamine issues. I couldn't do lemon. And another thing is, if your body is not, again, we had mentioned previously, like if you're in that stress state, your body's not digesting, right? That means it's not preparing. It's not getting all those enzymes ready to break down the food. So Digestive enzymes might be a supplement to look into, right? To talk to your doctor about, or your practitioner, because if your body's not producing it naturally, those can temporarily help you to break down your food properly, which we do need, right? And I think it's also important to remember that if you're still sleeping poorly, if your blood sugar is still crashing, if your gut's inflamed, and things aren't being addressed properly, and I know this is a cycle a lot of people are in, it's not necessarily that you're doing the wrong things, it's that you're not solving that root cause that we talked about, right? We're looking at the symptom, we're not looking at the cause. We're not looking at the root, right? Think about a flower bed that needs to be weeded. Like my front flower bed. If you go to a flower bed and pull up those weeds and start throwing them out, right? How long does it take them to come back? Quite some time, if you just let it go. That's if you're not maintaining, right? If you just let it go, you don't do anything else to the flower bed, right? That's like doing a detox or something. It takes a while for those weeds to come back, right? However, if you just mow them down to a really short length, how long is it going to take them to grow? I know here in Texas, where it's hot, humid, and it rains a lot, they're going to grow pretty quick. Like in a week or two, they're going to need to be cut again. You see what I'm saying? So mowing over them is like maybe taking some Tums for your heartburn, right? And then pulling them out at the root, maybe addressing a H. pylori infection. So we really have to test, or, you know, there are some ways to get around testing. It's not as specific, but it can be beneficial for certain cases. So you really have to get to that root cause though. Otherwise, you know, taking Tums for heartburn isn't going to fully fix the problem, right? So anyway, it's not about whether or not you have a gut condition. It's whether or not your gut is functioning well enough to support the body. Because like we said, your digestion has to do with energy, right? Can your body break down food efficiently? Can it absorb the nutrients? Can it assimilate those nutrients to be used? Can it communicate clearly with your brain? Can it communicate clearly with your immune system, right? If not, you are going to feel it everywhere. And that energy and that focus, the sleep, the hormones, the mood, inflammation even, right? So are you working with your body or are you working against it? If you're mowing down those weeds, are we really working with the body? Versus if we're pulling up those weeds at the root, right? So don't just throw things at your symptoms and see what sticks. I know a lot of people do that. It's exhausting. It spends a lot of money. It takes a lot of time, and you usually don't get to the root cause of things. I want you to start listening to your body. And instead of rushing or multitasking, etc., ask your body, hey, what is the symptom trying to tell me? What is the pattern here? Right? Is my body trying to slow me down because it's overwhelmed, or it's getting something that it doesn't need, or something that it can't handle, right? And write it down. Like, journaling can be so powerful for noticing these patterns in terms of your symptoms and how you feel, and getting to that root cause if you're not wanting to do the lab testing. So you can also start to support your body's foundation, like digestion and nervous system regulation and blood sugar balancing, so that your body has what it needs in order to kind of course correct, right? Because if it's on that path to what we call in the chiropractic world dis-ease, we need to kind of course correct so that we're slowly but surely and gently rerouting towards a more holistic, healthy lifestyle, right? And that's the shift. It doesn't need to be complicated and extreme, but you have to remember that working with your body is not passive, right? It's not doing nothing. It is, yes, observing, but not stopping there, right? It's observing, taking that information and data and supporting and simplifying it in a way that it can be used to kind of course correct. It's giving your body those conditions that it needs in order to function properly, in order to rest, repair, and heal, right? And then kind of taking a few steps back and giving your body some space and letting it do what it was designed to do, right? So instead of saying, how do I fix this symptom? Say, well, hey, what's going on beneath this, right? What's one thing I can do to support my body underneath all of this, right? So that's that mindset shift that I'm trying to get you to make. Instead of like controlling every little thing that your body has or does or feels, even obsessing over that, obsessing over those symptoms. And this is a lot more sustainable long term than it is to constantly react to symptoms, right? Because that is exhausting and it's never ending and it is expensive. Let me tell you, I burned through my savings going from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, right? And again, if you've watched most of this video, you know, like I was like most of you, where my doctors were like, you're fine, your labs are normal, nothing's wrong. So if you're working with your body, you're being proactive, not passive, right? You're focusing on those patterns. You're building trust. You're reconnecting that brain and body like we talked about. And over time, your body's going to stabilize. And then once it stabilizes, it starts to heal and repair. So if you've been trying a ton of different things and you're still feeling stuck and you feel like you failed and you feel like you're never going to get better, you're never going to feel any better than you do right now, it probably just means no one showed you how to work on your body from a holistic perspective, but also how to work on it from the inside out. And that's what we do here, right? That's what we do in my practice. That's what we do on our channel, because I don't want you guys chasing symptoms for the rest of your life, right? I had the whole symptom chasing thing running the show for almost 2 years, right? Eat, sleep, breathe symptoms. And I want to give you guys a better map so that you don't have to do that, because it's miserable, right? So, okay. I know I've talked long enough, more than enough for most of you. But I want you to know that if you've made it this far, I love and appreciate you so much, because you are taking so much time and so much effort into learning about how your body works so that you can take back your power, you can take back your control, and you don't have to guess anymore, right? And you can start seeing these things that are going on for what they really are and figure out what your specific body needs in order to feel better, to feel great, to feel the best you've ever felt, even before you started feeling burnt out or ill or whatever the case may be for you. That being said, if you do want to jump in, we are going to do a Q&A session after this in our Discord. So I will drop some links for that below. I will also drop some links if you are interested in our website. We do have a blog post related to this, and more links to our podcast, our again, our Discord community, one-on-one sessions, our gut health reset if you're interested in any of that. And if you do have questions for me, feel free to comment below. You're more likely to get a hold of me through Discord though. So anyway, thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope to see you in the next video.